And continuing on from the last movie with the logical and compound operators, let's go and take a look at some examples. And I do have a few notes in here, which first of all, they're a guide for me as I go through the process, but also they're notes. For instance, when it finds nothing, you might wonder why I left a query in like that, but it demonstrates a sensible example, but also I don't want you to be misled. If you're expecting data to always come out of a query, don't, because data doesn't always appear from a query. So let's paste these guys in here. Let's go up to here, and the first one we have here, well, first of all, I always like to pull the data itself, just so we have something to compare with. So we pull everything from the category table, Control Enter, and what do we get? We get all the category table data, and as you can recall from previous examples, there's 34 rows. Then we go down to the next one. We're going to pull everything that is null. This comment here says finds nothing. This is actually incorrect. Let's go back and fix the script. I think I might have had a slightly different example there. Save this. Go back to here. What this one does is finds the first record because its parent ID is null. If I was to change this query, and I'll copy the changes back into the text file shortly, let's look at this one. I know for a fact that category ID equals 5 does not have a null parent ID. So you don't find anything because the requirement for the query is that both of these values result in a true result on the same row. It doesn't exist because 5 does not have null. If we do this one here, we can actually find either. Obviously with 1, might as well have this as 5. It should find all nulls and all values with a category ID of 5. That makes better logical sense. Now, we can obviously include the compound logical operators with things like pattern matching. So let's go and look at a pattern match. I'm going to find everything that starts with a capital A or a capital B, and there you can see the result. And this next example really does find nothing. In fact, what we need to do is we need to go back here and make sure we edit this and put this comment in here to keep it consistent. This one finds nothing because it's trying to assume that two values are the same in the same row, which is not the case. This one will find nothing because you can't find a name that has two different names. They're two different rows. In other words, if we go back to this previous example, the name cannot be equal to Arena Cross and Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band all in the same row. Not possible, so it doesn't find anything. This example here finds all rows. Well, you would think that it would find all rows that are A and B and ACT ID is less than 10 or less than or equal to 10. This is highlighting an issue. What is actually happening with this particular query here is that the precedence is being messed up. Why? Because AND is executed first. So it's actually saying like B and less than or equal to 10 or A. So it's going to find all B's that are less than or equal to 10, which is 3 and 10, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, and then all A's. Now generally, you don't want to do something like that if you've got an OR next to an AND. You're going from left to right. The chances are, it's very likely, and we need to put a note in here, that you're probably going to want to do something like this, where you want to force the OR logical operator to execute first, and the result will be different here, because what you're doing is saying, okay, I want A or B, and then I want any A or B that's less than or equal to 10, so it's going to remove the 36 element. So let's just try something else. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm going to go to here, and I'm actually going to take the ACT condition, or the ACT ID condition, and put it right at the beginning. And I don't think this will actually make any difference, because what's actually going to happen here is going to say find all ACT IDs less than or equal to 10 and A, and then OR, and it should find the same result as the previous. No, it didn't. Now that's interesting. It's actually said 10 and A or B. So let's continue this subject matter in the next movie.